In terms of locally, obviously the sport would benefit from such a tournament as well.
Well, yes. We saw after the ratings for the Commonwealth Games gold medal match between Australia and New Zealand, over 3 million people watched it. There was a full house. So can you imagine what we could achieve here? But I think what it'll do is give us a lift. We'll get to see the best netballers in the world from 16 nations come into Sydney. We'll have some great community programs, and I know Netball New South Wales is already working on what that will look like. So we want to make sure that everyone in Australia can share in this World Championships. So for us, it's a great deal of excitement. So inspiring our broadcaster and other broadcasters, but also other media, and certainly from a commercial perspective, our current partners, but potential partners who would like to be engaged in such an amazing event.
How important is it to provide a commercially viable tournament?
Well, it's essential, really. It is a world event, and it's important that the International Federation it has some resources to do what they need to do. It is an important product for them. From our perspective, it's about the pride of the sport. We have a great product, and more and more our corporate Australia is coming on board, and we've got some great partners now, but I'm sure that we'll be able to add to that wonderful stable of partners. So it opens the door to a whole new world because it has an international flavour. It will be broadcast across the world. We will have a full stadium at Ace Arena, so 17,000 fans screaming for the Diamonds will be incredible. But it'd also mean that we can, as we work towards that, we can lift the bar on how we manage our organisation and how we view the world.
So 17,000 fans at Ace Arena, you think you can break the world record?
Absolutely. Absolutely we will. And our friends at Ace Arena and certainly the Sydney Olympic Park precinct have been extraordinary in terms of their support, and having seen them in operation from a bid process, I can imagine that once we get our team together, it will be quite extraordinary. There's no chance it won't be full, and we know from Singapore's experience this year, we've got hundreds, if not thousands, of Australians heading up to watch the World Championships in Singapore. So the level of interest is quite significant, and we want everyone to feel like they can be part of it. So we hope people will come from not only the rest of the world, but certainly Australia to watch this.
Would it be fair to say you're aiming to host the world's best ever championships?
I think any country that's hosting a World Championship would say that, and I think if we can't do that, then the sport's not growing and getting better at what we do. So absolutely we will host the best ever, and the host after us will host the best ever after that, because that's what is happening with this sport, both in Australia and the world. It's growing really quickly, and it's an exciting time.
Now, touching on the squad, obviously it's a fantastic opportunity for the younger girls coming through now, maybe those who are just breaking into the Diamonds, or those aspiring Diamonds in the underage programs. Exciting for them to get this chance to play on home soil.
Yes, actually that was one of the first things I suppose I thought about when we heard that we'd won was, can you imagine all of those athletes out there, what we call our emerging athletes, but all those young athletes thinking, oh, actually 4 years, that could be me. And so how that would inspire them to work harder, to look at our current Diamonds and say, well, maybe they may not all be there, some of them will be, so trying to choose their spot. So we know we have our coaches out there at the moment. We've got some extraordinary coaches in Australia, and they'll be working very hard to produce the best Diamonds team ever as well. Wouldn't it be amazing playing on your home soil, and won't it be amazing watching them?
In 1991, Australia hosted the first ever World Championships indoors. Since then the sport's made a lot of progress here, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, so look, it's a different world, but I think that was the platform. That's where it started, and interestingly, the current president, Noeline Dix, managed that, and one of the doyens of sport, Deirdre Highland, was the president at the time. It was an extraordinary event, and I was in the stand watching that and can remember it as if it was yesterday. But can you believe it's 24 years by the time we hosted in 2015? So everything's changed since then. From a commercial perspective, our participation numbers are up, our partners are up, we have free-to-air broadcast, the whole world has changed. So can you imagine what the platform we can create in 2015? Imagine what it will be like in another 24 years. It will be incredible. So it's an exciting time, and I can sort of almost feel like I'm there now, imagining what it will be like. And the people that will be sharing in that across Australia, across the world.
Can you paint that picture for us? What's it like being there now in your mind?
Well, I just think the excitement of being in a full stadium. I remember actually when I first took over as CEO in 2007, I was at the World Championships in New Zealand, and the Australian team came out, and it was the Down Under song, and I know it just is sort of it's about it being an Australian, and I didn't feel Australian until I actually saw the Australian team marching on, and the hair stood up on the back of my neck, and I got really emotional. And I thought, oh my God, this is why we do it. This is why we actually work in this sport. So I guess I can feel that essence that this is about Australia, but it's about the rest of the world. But imagine how we are going to feel when the Australian Diamonds walk out onto that, or march out into that court. We may even pick the same song, wouldn't that be fun? Because it is Australian. So I can feel that now, and I can feel, that everyone in Australia getting behind it.
Now, you mentioned a moment ago, 1991 was a platform for what's been achieved in the past couple of years. 2015, what do you think we'll be able to achieve from there? What's that platform going to set for us?
Well, I think it's a global issue will be for me. For me, it's about strengthening international netball, because it's no point in being a big fish in a small pond. We need a much bigger pond. So if we can help drive change internationally, strengthen netball. So at the moment there are 4 teams that can win in July in Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, Jamaica and England. It's strengthening. There is no reason why the next 4 teams cannot be competing for that gold medal. So for me, it's about the sport internationally. So making sure that the broadcasters internationally are keen to show our product, that we're actually to come together as a community, and certainly new technologies make that possible. We're only next door to our friends in South Africa and on Africa generally. So for me, it's about the sport broadly, internationally. For Australia, that will come because I think we're a great nation and everyone gets behind our sport. But for the sport in the rest of the world, it's important. There are many nations that do not have the same advantage as we do. Wouldn't it be great if we could share some of that? And I think this is what 2015 will do.